Hey folks, I did promise a video on showing CorelDRAW being used like a desktop publisher program such as Microsoft Publisher, InDesign, or Scribus. This is not going to be really a kind of like a follow along, kind of like I do in some of my others, where I kind of have an object in mind and show you how I got there by just kind of piecing it together as I go. I'm just going to show you how this program CorelDRAW can be used in that manner. Now there's going to be a lot I'm not going to really touch on that CorelDRAW has, like for example we're not going to really get into object styles or character styles or paragraph styles, which CorelDRAW is starting to support. Baseline grid alignment, we're not going to get into that, or linking frames, things of that nature. I'm kind of going to keep it on the same level as my Scribus one, where I kind of had a very simple idea. We'll just put it in and everything else, and then I did kind of rebuttal on how to deal with photos a little bit better with Scribus. This one here, I'm going to try to take care of basic little idea and photos all in one shot. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get to it. This is going to be nothing spectacular, guys. Don't barrage the comments. Oh, that's one of the ugliest layouts we ever seen. Well, again, this is more for a demonstration to kind of get you guys up and going on it. So without further ado, we could just go with that. And again, just use these techniques to get you jump started, get your creativity going, maybe get over a little block that you might be having trying to get it to play nice and everything else. Now I will say that CorelDRAW, because of it being a vector program, you can put in bitmaps into it just fine, which are basically pictures, your JPEGs and things like that. Or you can put in your text objects and everything else, but you don't have to necessarily put like one-liner things like for your headline and things like that into a text block if you don't want to. You can use what's called artistic text, which is basically when you come over here and click on the little text tool over here, and then you click somewhere and type something like that, it becomes what's known as artistic text. And you can use that, if we go back to our pick tool, pick this up and then kind of scale it a little bit, that can be used as a title, easy enough. Again, you could do it that way, or you can draw a frame as well. A lot of these other ones would call it like a text frame or box frame to do it. Now the only one that really draws a frame is your text tool, as far as the publishers go, where you just click and draw like this and you make a text box like that, and you can enter paragraph text and you can justify it, center it, everything that you can do with everything else. And if you notice, we can even do tab leaders up here. It tells you how big the box is over here. If we need to link them, we can link them and things like that. If I was to start typing, I'm just going to type some gibberish here just kind of real quick. Notice how it keeps, wrapping around. And then if I was to resize this box by going over here, see how it word wraps inside the container? So that works pretty much as advertised for, things like people normally would use, like in Publisher or Scribus, or InDesign for that matter. So that's how, roughly that works. And of course you can still shrink it up and down to get the right size and do all sorts of other things to it. Now there are a couple things that CorelDRAW allows you to do and everything else than what others, I haven't seen too many others do. I mean, some will allow customization and everything else, but you gotta remember this is primarily a graphics illustration program, but it is allowing for more and more people to do more and more things with. If you also notice, I've also changed my layout from a lighter color to a darker color because I seem to like that. I'm not trying to chase after Adobe or nothing with what they've been doing, but this to me is just easier on my eyes. It works better for me. Again, if you don't like it, then you can always go back to the lighter workspace. But if you notice, if you go under Windows and Workspace, you got under Specialty, you got, if you're coming from Illustrator, you can go there, you can do illustration, or looky here, you got page layout. And what that will do is that will change everything over to be more oriented towards a page layout type of thing. However, because I do so much diversification with CorelDRAW, I don't like keep switching my workspaces. I'm sorry, I can't really say desktop. I just normally keep a few panels open. These are the ones I keep open. I keep open Object Properties. There it is. Object Manager, which is basically like a layers palette, guys. If you're coming over from InDesign, Illustrator, things like that, this is your layers palette. Object Styles. This is your object styles is also going to hold your character styles and things like that. Well, if people comment and want more of this type of thing on page layout with CorelDRAW, I will get into a little bit heavier with this, but it is kind of neat how it works. Alignment and dynamic guides. CorelDRAW does allow dynamic guides, kind of like Illustrator and some of the other newer Adobe products. I do use them. I find that layout is a lot easier with them. However, some people don't like them as much, and again, you can turn that functionality on or off. And to actually turn that functionality on or off the easiest way, you just go over to View and just check Alignment and Dynamic Guides right here, which I'll go ahead and turn these back on now, because for this little demo I'm going to show you how quickly I can knock this little demo out using them. Align and Distribute, definitely I keep this open because this will align and distribute objects to different parameters. You can do it to you can do it to selected objects, to page center. You can do it to a grid if you need to, so you can get really specific how you need to do this. And then the last one down here is character, which you can see, I've opened up some of these things. You can do tabs, bullets, drop caps, hyphenation, the frame, how many columns you want inside of a frame. Like this right now is a text frame, and it recognizes it. I see I can split it across into 2 frames if I wanted to, and I can adjust the gutter and things like that. Do equal column width, where I can choose a different column width. So again, a lot of flexibility in this program. So let's go ahead and go back to just object properties for now. I'm just going to go ahead and grab my pick tool up here and just delete this little box right here. Go ahead and delete Hello World. Now, like I was saying in Scribus, I don't know if I had touched on it or not, but any vector object can be a frame. Not just a traditional square like InDesign and everything else try to normally show you, like this, for example. Even though that is a box, that can be a frame. So can circles. We'll do a perfect circle right there by holding the Control key. The polygon tool, see, this is going to make a triangle because I got 3 up here. Any one of these can be a frame. It could be a custom shape that you draw. Anything can be a frame in one of these programs. So just keep that in mind. So just in case you kind of like, well, I like to kind of maybe make a fact about the moon and make it like a crescent moon. You can draw the crescent moon, for example, and then put text inside of it, and it will flow inside that as an object, and you just change the container to be a text frame. And the way you do that most quickly in Corel is grab your pick tool, of course, click on the object that you want, right click on it, and then say frame type, and then you can say empty text frame or empty PowerClip. Now, if you're going to do clipping of objects other than just text in there, so like if you're wanting to do like an illustration that you want to gain a little bit more control over, like InDesign and some of the others do, and everything else, you want to use just a PowerClip frame, because that will support pictures, everything else a lot easier than an empty text frame. The empty text frame will allow you to do the word wrapping and everything else like you saw earlier. It will also allow you to do some other functionality too. So it depends on which one you need, and you can always switch back and forth. So say like if I say create empty PowerClip frame here, but like I'm like, oops, I'm going to actually use that for some text. We'll just right click, go frame type, and say empty text frame. If you say, oops, I just want to use that as a shape, well, just say none, and it goes back to a regular shape. No harm, no foul. We're all good to go. So now let's go ahead and change this to an empty text frame, and we'll play with that type first. I have here some photos and everything here that I'm going to use. Now, these are some pictures I've taken many moons ago when I went to Patriots Point, and the camera that I had was very, it was okay for the time, but its megapixels is kind of sucky by today's standards. I'm not going to lie. However, I'm going to use these photos to not only show you how to A, place and treat photos inside of frames and things inside of CorelDRAW, but B, also show you that you don't have to jump out to a external raster program such as in GIMP or Photoshop unless you want to correct certain things with photographs. But what I'm going to do here is just go into this text thing, and I'm going to kind of grab this. And the place I went, as you can tell by the text I'm highlighting, is Patriots Point Museum, located in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, right outside of Charleston. So I'm just going to take that. I'm going to click in. See, I need to click in here with the text tool. Okay, and then I'm going to just do a paste. Alright. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight that, and we're going to change the font right here to something like that, and we'll just go ahead and roll it up here. Okay. Now, I did not have to highlight that to do that, folks. The reason why I did that is because I already had the text tool out, and I was like, well, okay, I'm going to do this and do that. However, with the object properties, you can go here to select the character, and again, now I can change it to something else. So select, for example, I want to change it to Arial Black, for example. Notice how it changes on screen and everything else. So I don't have any text selected. I just have the frame selected. So we'll change that back to stencil. But you can change that. You can change the what color these are. You can go with uniform fill, fountain fill. The world is your oyster. Again, this is just showing you basically, how and where to go. Now, the thing is, too, while you got this selected with this, if you click on this, notice how inside here, if you click on that object, you can actually do your leading and your kerning and tracking with this box as well. Or you can go in here and individually grab a character and move it around. So it's still available, but notice how this is not snapped to the baseline because it's recognizing this as a text box, and is expecting to have more than just one line of text in here. But you don't have to do that with this. Again, just perfectly fine. Just opening up this. I'm just going to hit Control V, and there it is with that. But see, now, with this, I just get some basic character properties here. I can either go up here and change it, or over here and change it. Like, for example, just go ahead and change this to stencil. And again, I get the same result, but I just don't have a big old box worrying me right now upon this. So that's roughly, just getting you started with these two objects. I'll just go ahead and just kill that one for now. We'll just move this one up. There we go. I'll go ahead and kill these objects because I'm going to want, squares. I guess we can do something more fun in another tutorial, but I'm just going to be boring today. My head hurts, and just want to knock this out real quick. No offense to you folks in the audience there. Yeah, I just drew me a basic square. To make duplicates here, there's several different ways. I'm going to do it the easy way. I'm just going to press and start to move. Notice how I got a line there through the center to tell me I'm centered. I'm just going to move it over with constrained by holding down my control key. I'm going to right click while I'm holding down my left mouse button. Once I right click, you see I made a plus sign. Now if I let go of the left mouse button, I made a duplicate. So you can either hit Control D like that, and what Control D does is remembers how far over you went to step it over the next object, or you can just hit, if you got a full size keyboard, the plus sign over at the number pad of the keyboard. Now I got these basically. I'm going to move this guy over. Now again, I'm going to keep it the same with the title here. Now you can do several different ways to distribute these. You can actually keep moving these over little by little until you get them perfectly aligned, and the program will tell you, and you can keep doing that. Now if I had another object, it'd probably be easier, or using your picker tool, just click that, hitting the shift key, and keep adding all these. We'll go over here to our Docker to align and distribute, and we'll hit that one there. It says distribute centers evenly. And notice how the Smart Guides even tells you, hey look, we're now evenly distributed by the lines. So they are evenly apart. Now I'm going to just leave one like a normal square. We're going to change one into a PowerClip, and I'm going to go to back to my little folder here, and I'm going to pull in, we'll pull in these two to start with. And you can just drag and drop these in. You don't have to run the import dialog if you don't like to or want to. Alright. Notice how the smart guides is telling me that this photo is not exactly horizontally and vertically centered by the little crosshairs. That's why I like dynamic guides. Now some people don't like it because it will snap a little bit and drive some people nuts. I like it, especially for something like this, but again, this will be y'all's thing. Just knock it out however you like. But see, notice it didn't PowerClip in. And if I try to like add a fill or stroke to this, I can't, because photos are treated as a different object in Corel. If you want to do like put a white border around the photo or something like that, you're going to have to clip it inside of a PowerClip frame. And that's what we're getting ready to do. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to move this off, but instead of left clicking and positioning, I'm going to right click on this, move it over till I get somewhere close. It says center, but I don't think I'm in the dead center of this thing. But anyways, I'm going to right click on it and let go of my right mouse button. It's going to give me some options. Well, I say I want PowerClip inside. Well, look what happened. It moved that photo and put it inside the frame. Okay, and then once I click on it, I get these options down here. I can edit the picture inside the PowerClip, which means I can do some alterations to it. I can make it bigger, smaller. I can select the PowerClip contents, and I can just manipulate that without having to go inside. You can do some things to that. You can extract it back out. I can lock the contents to the PowerClip, which normally this should be on, because you want the frame to see how it stays like that. It doesn't really change all that much. That's what you want. You want it to kind of do that, unless you just want to change the frame size. Then you say, okay, I want to make my frame bigger. So notice how the frame got bigger, but the content stayed intact. It did not shrink or grow with the frame. Well, that's what that feature does. So let's go back here and turn that back on. And then the little drop down arrow, it says, okay, center content. See, that now it gets perfectly centered in there. Since I didn't do such a hot job when I did this, excuse me, you can say fill contents proportionally. What this will do is shrink the inside content to the size of your frame. I'll go ahead and do that. Or you can say fill frame proportionately. That one, or you can stretch contents to fill frame if it's too small. Again, you can mess with these to see which one will do you better. I'm just going to say fill frame, and that's fine for what I'm doing right here. Now again, if I was really anal about what we're going to be doing with this, then yeah, I'll be very, very, very much a lot more careful. But again, we're just trying to demonstrate here this concept. Okay, here's the other picture I'm going to use. But since this is a PowerClip frame, this is going to react a little differently. Watch what happens with this. I'll just grab this in the center, or close to the center. See, the normal thing it's getting ready to tell you is it's going to say add a PowerClip frame, where you can press and hold the F key on your keyboard to ignore it. I'm not going to hold F to ignore it. I'm just going to let go of my left mouse button. See, it automatically places that object inside the PowerClip. So we now got a PowerClip that we can move around. We can add a border to it, which I will just double click on the this is one way of getting there. I'm going to change this to something we can see. Red, be okay. And I'm going to change this to about 1.5 behind the fill. Actually, if we're going to do 1.5 behind fill, we're going to probably do about 3. I'm going to say okay. And notice here, if I scroll in, how we got a red frame going around this object. Unlike, I'll go ahead and drag another photo in. Let's go ahead and drag the destroyer in here. Okay, there we go. If I try to do the same thing with this, let's go ahead and make this 8 points. So it should be really obnoxious. Purplish blue, behind fill, okay. Notice nothing happens, because again, this photo is treated differently than a vector object that's used for a PowerClip, excuse me. So, this does give some, little bit of upshot of what's happening here. Now notice what happens when I hover this over the PowerClip frame with my left mouse button. The option, the default, is to ignore it and just place the object here, which it just does. Okay, move it again to reactivate. But if I hold W, I can add it to the PowerClip frame, which adds this object as well as the other picture inside of it, which I don't want to do. Or if I hold K, I can replace the PowerClip frame object, and I'll go ahead and do that because I can always undo. So I'm going to press and hold K on my keyboard, and right about there, and notice how if I go inside the PowerClip, I move this off, see that other object is not even here. This picture here of the destroyer here took precedence and just overrode it, and that gets you back out of the PowerClip. Oh yeah, by the way, if you do double click or go inside the PowerClip, you see that little checkbox there, and if you just hold your mouse over it, says stop editing contents, that will bring you back out and redraw the frame and everything else. So I'm going to undo a few times. There we go. Now we got back to where we were. I'm just going to go ahead and PowerClip this into here by getting it close, and then I'm going to... The other way you can PowerClip also is just select your object. You can go over to, I believe it is effects here. Where's the object? PowerClip. Place inside frame. It's going to give you a little pointer. You can say here. Then we'll say edit. We'll drag this till we get in there somehow. Then we'll say OK. And I'm going to say center of the contents. And then I'm going to say proportionally. Notice how this one here, I still got some space on the top and bottom, which is a good thing, because now, like I was showing you before, where we'd try to edit just the photo to add like a background color, whatever else. Of course, we don't want a background color here. However, this here, if I was to click on like, oh, this ugly purple color here, I mean, it's not bad, I guess. Notice how this object has a stroke, a black stroke around it, and a purple fill, and we still have our bitmap. I'll just X out of that to get rid of that. So I'm just showing you that this now acts more like a container does, or frame does in the other programs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's see. There we go. We'll do that. Now, for example, on the submarine, that's okay. I mean, you get an idea. That's an aircraft carrier. Again, sorry for the resolution here, guys. This was like a Ricoh RDC 300, I believe, which had only like 0.2 megapixels of resolution. I know, crappy, but that's what it was back in the day. But this submarine here, if we needed to do stuff to it, we can. And that's what I'm going to show you, is we can do stuff to this. Well, actually, I'll bring in another photo. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's have some fun with photos today, folks. Oops. I have lost my frickin' mind here. There we go. We'll do this because this is actually dark. Again, this is not supposed to be a layout I'm doing for anybody. Again, this is just for demonstration. I'll go ahead and close this. Okay, we'll go ahead and get this into the frame, or get this close. See, that makes a duplicate of it, but I don't want a duplicate, so I'll just go ahead and delete that. I've grabbed the center of it. Whoop, I'm getting ready to do the same mistake again, folks. There we go. PowerClip inside. Let's get this to fill frame. Okay. Alright, so far these are about the same lighting. Everything's looking kind of nice with life and everything else. But what about this guy right here? He's looking awful dark. What can we do? Well, we can select the contents of the PowerClip frame, but look what we can do straight inside of Corel. We can go to Effects and look at the Adjust menu. We can do Contrast Adjustment. We can do target balancing, tone curves, brightness, that might be a good place to start. Well, let's go here and make sure our preview button is turned on. And look at this. I can change the brightness of an object. Whoop, must not have the object selected again. So let us just go ahead and select the contents. There we go. Now we got the contents. Now everything will play nice. But again, still in here, we'll try this again. Notice how we make sure we got preview turned on here. Oop, is preview. There it is. I had preview turned off. Duh. But notice how I can adjust contrast, intensity. I can adjust anything about this that I need to. And like I was showing in the demo with CorelDRAW, look what else I can do. I can pull up not only that, desaturate, replace colors, everything else, but out of this little menu, if that's not what I was looking for, I can say, okay, transform. I can invert the colors, basically make a negative. I could do a little bit of correction, but then I could get into some of the other fun filters like impressionist. I can sharpen the picture. I can add a little noise or remove noise. I can go into the creative and do the glass blocks, kids play, things like that. So again, right out of this little thing, I can blur it. I mean, I don't have to sit there and go into a raster program unless I really want to. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and cancel all this because also under the bitmaps menu, I got a few more options. I could do an auto adjust. Well, that didn't work so well, did it? Okay, but we can straighten image. We can resample it if we need to. We can change the mode to a bitmap, paletted, duotone. All this straight inside of Corel. I'm not going anywhere. As you can see on the screen, this is no tricks, no nothing. It's just straight what the program will do. Because it has photo paint so tightly built into it, it's basically calling these functions while you're still in the vector drawing program, using it for, again, what we're doing basically is page layout. I don't have to go anywhere unless I want to. Now, to go somewhere, you can just hit Edit Bitmap here. You can hit it here, or you can right-click on the picture and say Edit Bitmap. So there's 3 different ways you can exit out of here, which I'll do in just a second, and bring up photo paint and do even more stuff. But the cool thing I like here is the Auto Adjustment Lab, because it brings up this nice big dialog, allows you to create snapshots like I went over before in another video. But see, now I got a lot more adjustment here. I can do brightness like I did before, bring that up a little bit. I can pull down the highlights because I'm going to probably blow them out. I'm going to bring up the contrast a little bit. Again, there's not much I can really do for this photo because it is just... Well, I can try. I mean, can't hurt a guy from trying, I guess. But again, we're going to bring the brightness up a little bit. I'm going to pull down the highlights a little bit. Let's see if we can adjust this. Let's see, set white point, set black point. I just want to see here if I can just eyeball this. Nope, I wasn't there at sunrise. Okay, just a tint a little bit. Whoop, it wasn't green either. Let's go for the white point. Here we go. That's good enough for my little thing. But you notice that I did do a version here. So I can just click OK here and see it transports right back into the program. No muss, no fuss. Excuse me. But again, you know, because some of you may want to do a little bit more or have access to a little bit more functionality, like for example, if you may want to cut this object out or something like that, you will need to jump out of CorelDRAW for that because other programs don't do so well with that, including some of the plugins, so I will warn you guys about that. So let's go ahead and just quickly go into the Edit Bitmap here. And I'll do a little bit of paragraph text fun here, and then we'll wrap this up once this loads. Now, I should have launched this before. It would launch a lot quicker if you have it in the background. But see, it launches up Photo Paint. And from here, again, we can do some adjustments. We can do these. The same adjustments are here. We can do some effects here. We can add on a mask. Oops, it got the mask menu there. There's the effects menu. But we can basically just figure out what we're going to do. Let's just do something quick here. Kids play. This is, I know, ugly, folks. Again, this is not meant to be. Paint by numbers. They obviously they won't let me get any more detail than 5. Maybe finger paint. Ugh, that's even worse. Building blocks, maybe. Oh, well, that's like Legos. Let's see if I can choose a different one. Let's see, we're under creative. We'll do crystallize. Here we go. Again, this is not meant to be perfect, but I'm just showing you I can hop around filters and everything else. Say, okay, I like that. What else can we do? Let's get, maybe, let's posterize this. I believe posterize is under here. Yep, it is. Again, I'm just destroying this photo, but again, I'm just showing you how you can quickly go in here, do some things, and jump back out. No, I will do a more serious and a lot more in-depth on this. If this video kind of takes off and says, hey, look, I like how you got my feet wet. Let's really do a project and see where it goes. And I'll be more glad, guys, when I get time to crank one out for you. But again, what we're going to do here is we're going to say finish editing. It's going to ask you, do you want to say the bitmap? Say yes. Then this will go away. You can minimize that. And see, look, right back into the program. It puts this in here. I say finish editing this, and look, there it is. Boom. Easy peasy. No problem. Now I said I was going to do one more, and then we'll kind of go ahead and cut this off, because I know you guys got better things to do than listen to me. We'll just draw a simple little box right here. Go outside to this thing here. I'm going to just... I know I'm cutting a lot of info off here. I was wanting to do a lot more, but be honest, guys, I'm just trying to get this knocked out because I did promise, and, well, I'm not feeling exactly spry today. Go ahead and kill that. Click inside here. Hit Control V and paste. Okay. Now let's go back to the object properties. Now character, again, we've already touched on that, so let's go ahead and we'll use Arial Black, something that'll be easier to see. I don't think it adjusted. Nope, it did not, because I have to be in the pick tool to allow that to work. Arial Black, there we go. We kind of got some overflow. I'm just going to make this a little bigger, and then I can space this out. Notice how, again, the word wrap works here. I'm just going to line that up to that edge there. You can see by the dotted line. Again, the tracking and everything else is horrible. Any designer worth their salt probably screaming to the top of their lungs, this sucks. But again, I'm not going for how to do the typography on this. I'm sorry. I'm just showing you real quick how to get things in and manipulating and get this thing to act like a desktop publishing program. Again, we can change the font size. I think, and then like I was showing you here, we can change the leading. That looks a little better. Let's change the tracking a little bit. And it's actually doing the whole kerning. I actually want to do the whole words, just not that, but we'll tighten that up just a little bit. There we go. Just quickly showing you that that tool kind of still works. And we had to kind of drag this down because, there we go. But again, now we got this done. It's kind of weird how it's jumping around like that. I guess that could be also my video card too, so pardon that, guys. I mean, my card is giving a little bit of a problem today. But we're just going to go ahead and do this where it kind of evens up. Because now what we're going to do is we're going to click on this, and then we got all the paragraph selections here. We got the indent. We got how, paragraph before spacing, paragraph after spacing, percentage of character height, line spacing, We can do character spacing. We could do word spacing. So if I was to bring this down, it will tighten, up the words, as you can see right there. So you can do that, and you can do language spacing, tabs, bullets. You can do left alignment. Right now it's on no alignment, left alignment, center alignment, right alignment, full justify. Then you can do this type of justification, which is force justify, and you got some more options over here. For this, it'll probably look better if we just left it left. And then again, we can keep on going here. The frame does not have any color to it. We can add a color if we so wish. It could be CMYK, it could be Pantone, it could be anything. Again, just quickly, or you can even select something from a photograph. I'm going to select, how about that green color, that olive green. I know it looks ugly, folks, but again, and then I can adjust it a little bit here by doing that, making it look a little better, I guess. There's really no hope for this, but hey. Again, because this recognizes this as a text frame, we can put columns in here. As you see, we got a I believe this is called an orphan here. We do have to adjust that, but again, I'm not going to get into the typography of this. You can, bring this down a little bit, and then that should solve that problem. But now we got uneven. We can do a baseline alignment that will line all this up and everything. Again, that could be for a later tutorial, but you can see now how you can really gain control over how this works. And you can even click here, and you can say number of columns 2, maintain current width, automatically adjust frame width, equal columns. The gutter is set for 1/2 inch. I can bring that down to like 1/4 inch. Whatever you want. You can either keep clicking that button like that, or you can just type 0.25, and there it is. So you do have a lot of flexibility in doing your layouts. So you don't have to sit there and draw a box and then 2 other boxes, unless you really want to for a 2-column layout, for example. This here is aligned to baseline grid. See, now this will align it to a baseline grid, so now we can kind of align it to a baseline grid a little bit, and it will make it look a little better. There we go. Again, I wouldn't make it this ragged. I'd do something to make sure everything kind of flowed correctly by doing some other tricks and everything with it. But again, I'm just showing you that you do have all these features to your and again, you got vertical alignment. You can do top vertical alignment, center, bottom, full vertical alignment, which you'll try to do both top and bottom. So again, you got a lot of options here. This basically just gives you a summary of what's in here, how many words are in here, what the size is, the center, and then of course you got word wrapping, which you can either use a contour or do a square, or you can just have things flow above and below, which we'll get into in another video because this is starting to run a little long. Go back to the frame again. See, we can actually, just say no color, which will turn us back to here. We got that. You can do color sliders if that's more of your thing. Again, you got HSL, RGB, any color space you like. You can just pick a color like that. You can even use a palette like that, like this is the Pantone. You can just use cyan, for example. There you go. So again, a lot of options. So this does really work like a desktop publisher. May not be as intuitive as like Microsoft and everything else, but once you know where everything is and how to use everything, you don't have to sit there and design a really cool vector illustration and say, well, now I gotta fire up this program to do my layout, unless you want to. You don't have to follow what Corel's trying to do, say, hey, look, you could just do everything here. You don't have to. You can do what you would like. So basically, now the one thing you do notice about this on the frame is you cannot adjust this, which is your outline color. But you can put an outline on the frame. Up here for power clips. Now, I don't think that you can here. Now, this will be something I probably have one of those moments like I had on that one video when I first demonstrated Corel, where I had to, open up mouth and insert foot because I said, no, it won't do something, and guess what? It did. So, let's go down here. Let's give it a big frame here. Let's see, we'll do a green. That should be easy enough for us to see. Excuse me, folks. Behind fill, and let's say OK. Well, it outlined our letters, but it did not outline our box, and I did not think it would outline our box. So yeah, because notice here what happened is it actually put that outline and other attributes onto the outline of the characters. So yeah, that definitely did not work. So let's go ahead and make this a little bit more manageable. Now that looks horrible enough, but not as bad as it did. But you can even do that. Now if you want to leave this box as is, now this will be the last thing I touch on, and put it into a different frame, which you can do. You just draw another frame, about however big you think is going to need to contain this. We'll say, like that maybe. Go ahead and what we're going to do is grab the pick tool, I think I grabbed that frame. I didn't want to grab the frame. We'll zero that in. We'll hit Alt and go down one. There we go. Now I got what I want. Get this out of the way. We'll right click, come over here. It's nowhere going to be close to the center. I'm just going to get it in the realm of possibility. Right click, I'm going to say PowerClip inside. And now, with it PowerClip inside, see now I can have a outline border. I can put a different color here. I could do, the outline. I could do all the other attributes here. I can put another bitmap behind here if I wanted to. Fountain, fill, anything and everything. And of course, when you go to print preview, I don't know why I would print this, but see, I mean, this has retained this. I would get this, of course, away from the edge here a little bit. But I mean, this now has a separate fill, a separate outline, so you can do kind of nesting if you need to, in order to put a paragraph text box into a PowerClip. You are allowed to do that. So just keep that in mind. Alright folks, again, like I said, this is just a simple, quick, I wouldn't say quick, I'd say simple because I really didn't do much here, just kind of went over a few things and kind of touched on a few things. Excuse me. A little kind of get up to speed on how to use CorelDRAW as a desktop publishing layout tool. Again, just kind of let me know where you guys like to lead next. My next tutorial, I will give you guys a hint, will be again in CorelDRAW, but this time we're going to do like tracing. We're going to try to trace something from rasters to vectors, but at the same time, because this is one of the things that CorelDRAW does, and I think it's really cool, is we can actually change the color palettes and do other stuff while we're there, so we don't have to do it post-processing, and I'll show you how to do that on the next one. Alright guys, y'all have a good one, and I'll see you next time.